Imagine for the next 60 seconds that you could sort out and virtually eliminate every problem in your most important relationships. Happiness ultimately depends on the quality of our relationships, but it can fall apart when you don't really understand people. Remember this, there are only 3 relationships on earth: intimate, social, and work. Yet we keep making the same relationship mistakes while we keep hoping for a different result. I'm Larry Bellotta, and I'm here to show you an easier way to understand people than what you've been led to believe. People are not as complicated as you thought, and there's easier ways to interact with them that will take the stress out of your most difficult relationships. That's why every week, my guest and I will give you the tools and understanding to improve your intimate, your social, and your work relationships. I invite you to spend the next 60 minutes with me on Relationship Revelation Radio, since I define the word revelation as a dramatic disclosure of something not previously known or realized. Since relationships literally make our life or break it, let's explore what you haven't known or realized about relationships on Relationship Revelation Radio. She is a psychoanalyst, an anthropologist, a book author, a blogger, a lecturer, a researcher, a world traveler, a musical composer, a linguist. My goodness, she is she's also an unconventional grandma. Her name is Dr. Ailey Beltram, and the topic of the show that she's going to guide us through is most interesting. The topic is Psychoanalyst Explains Why We Hate Instantly Someone We Don't Know, and we just don't know why. You'd say, well, why would I hate somebody I don't even know? But we've had that happen. We've been around somebody that we've been very uncomfortable around. So when I found Dr. Beltram, I knew I had the authority with a really big worldwide view, well-researched, can answer this with confidence. It's important that you really get in touch with this thing called vibes. Now, vibes, as we'll see, is something very real. And we all use the word, I had bad vibes from that guy, and we say it, but we really don't know much about what is it, where do vibes come from. But we're going to find out from Dr. Beltram, who is not just a university scientist locked in a laboratory. This woman has done research with dolphins, for crying out loud. She's traveled the world, speaks several languages, and if anyone can explain what vibes are and how they're created, it's going to be her. And this is going to be a way to make your relationships better, less draining, more fulfilling. I want to welcome you, Dr. Beltram, to our time together because I'm believing our listeners are going to be blown away, as they say, and take something from your explanations that they can use right now. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Larry. That was quite an intro. Well, you're talking about vibrations, Larry. That's usually not my word, but I will start with that because we can go to music. What is music? Music is a sequence of sounds. Let's take a guitar. Do you play the guitar, Larry?
Yes.
You pluck one, and what happens?
And it starts to vibrate. The string, we can actually see the string vibrating.
Exactly. So one sound gets transferred into the next one, and the next one, and that's how a big sound or chord happens, right?
Okay, yeah.
Same thing with humans and animals and nature and the cosmic energy. Everything is connected by energy, Larry.
Now I want to say something. When you're talking about vibrations and you start with the guitar string, a human voice, vibrates eardrums, right?
Yes.
So the vibration is going through the air. This mechanical system in the eardrum actually starts vibrating the eardrum, right? And that's how we know sound, isn't it?
That's right.
So we have vibration in sound, and everybody knows about that. There's a lesser-known vibration, which most people typically don't know, that light vibrates as well. Talk about that. We have in the back of our eyeballs these millions of little cones that receive light vibration. A lot of people don't know that. They vibrate, and that's how we end up seeing color and detail.
That's true. But I can tell you about music. I can tell you vibrations in chemistry, in astronomy.
I went to eye and ear because it's something everyone can relate to.
Everything is connected by an energy, right?
All right, we'll accept that. Energy is everywhere. It's in the air. It's in space. We can't see energy, can we?
We cannot see energy, but we can. I can bring it down to people, for example. The energy between two people, because that's the topic, right?
Yes.
We can look at the law of attraction, for example. what is more attractive than when you're attracted to somebody. But that is an energy that is based on attracting the opposite kind of people, opposite of what you are. That's one example. But the most ridiculous example I can give you is, for example, when you make mayonnaise. Well, you've never made it, I bet.
I've seen it
made. They taught us how to make mayonnaise. You take an egg yolk, and little by little, you have to add a little bit of oil. If the ratio is off, guess what happens to the mayonnaise?
What happens to the mayonnaise?
It falls apart. It curdles.
Oh, okay. So there goes the smooth mayonnaise.
Exactly. So it's a ratio. It's about having the right ratio. And what happens when two people fight is that they challenge these vibrations. They challenge their ego, if you want to go into my world. They try to overdo each other. They want to be right. In a fight, there's a lot of energy. You agree with me?
Yes, there's a lot of energy, and that energy. What's that phrase? That room was so thick you could cut it with a knife. That's energy in the air that's coming from an angry person. Usually, what they're talking about, right?
Right.
And got the idea of this energy in people, and emotion. Then is that energy.
Exactly. Emotions are energy.
Emotion is energy. So feelings and emotion are virtually the same word, and we can connect feelings and emotion to vibration. We can put them all together. And vibrations go somewhere, don't they? They can travel. They can be aimed at.
And they are pulled. They're polarized. And let me finish full of the mayonnaise, for example. If the ratio is off, it will curdle. But you have to wonder why, at what point the ratios separate to go into the physics now. What happens in physics is that, especially in quantum physics, all right?
And quantum physics, I want to remind everybody, quantum means the smallest possible. So quantum physics is not worldly physics, as in physical world physics. It's the physics at the smallest possible level, the electron and the proton and the neutron, the atomic world, right? That's what quantum physics is talking about, isn't it?
Very well. Go more to the particles that hold things together, because we want to talk about relationships eventually, right?
Yes.
How they do the push and pull, they get together, and then they love, and they fight, and they love, and constantly. So, and they create an energetic field. What holds the ratio together is there is a central atom. One atom that the oil has and the egg yolk has. And when they're whipped, they're fine, but then it falls apart. And what keeps them together is that one particular atom that they share. And people, and everything has that. Whenever there's a push and pull, it means that each particle has one atom that they share. All right?
Okay.
So it's the same thing. And that's when we go into projection and transference. Let's say you meet somebody you just fall in love with and everything is fine. You're not aware, or you're aware maybe 3 years later, that she was just like your mother. Right?
Yes, yeah.
At the moment, you don't see that because you're so infatuated. So energy is at work. And there's this push and there's a pull toward this person. Two people are attracted by a memory field that we all share. Deep inside in your unconscious, we all have an unconscious, there's a memory you either like or don't like. Something that you liked about your grandmother or something you didn't like about grandmother.
So now you're saying we've all got a bunch of memories. Those memories are energies also, aren't they?
Yes, and positive and negative energy is energy.
And so it's being held as memories.
You don't like grandma. It's energy that connects you with that entity. Years later, you look at it, you go to therapy, and you say, oh, my God, she's just like my grandmother. She used to do this, she used to do that. And I'll give you a technique later how to solve that problem.
Okay.
But so more on a instant level. Walking down the street today, did anybody or anything get to your eye, to your attention?
Yes.
They say, oh, my, look at that. What was it?
Yes, it was a really, really big woman.
A big woman,
yeah,
perfect.
A big woman that couldn't get out of her car very well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you criticized, I'm sure, you laughed about it, or whatever. There was an energy between you, connected with that woman.
Yes. So you connect with whatever you see.
So that's the energy. You connect. Whether it's positive or negative, you connect. Why do you think your eye went to that fat woman?
because it was the most unusual thing in the area. It was not conventional. It was not a typical thing. First of all, it was something moving. And second of all, it was an extraordinary thing because she was very, very big. And it was like a small car and a big woman. And it was just, the contrast was stunning.
Contrast. Okay. So do you think there is a memory in your brain, that about contrast, about unusual, or something that comes to you?
Yes, my mother always had a big weight problem.
Okay. So there we go. We don't have to go any deeper. We can close.
Let's stop there.
But let me give you another example.
Okay.
This simple example, okay, and that's beautiful. And if you were in therapy with me, we would work at it so that she wouldn't stick out, so that there wouldn't be so much energy about your mom being fed, but just seeing her as a mother. All right.
All right.
Another example, which is mind-boggling. Let's say I was walking down the street this morning, and a woman was wearing red shoes, and my eye went to the red shoes. Not only because they were red, because they were red shoes. I had to catch my eye. I did a lot of work on myself, so I have great self-awareness.
Okay.
And
yeah, I can see that.
It becomes a little boring after a while. I say, okay, what about these red shoes? Are you criticizing her? Are you saying, oh, look at her with those red shoes. Who does she think she is? You're saying, I wish I had the guts to wear red shoes. Do you see the difference between the two?
One could be an envy, and the other could be a jealousy.
Right.
So those are two different energies, and why would you go to one or to the other? Why to jealousy? Why to envy? What's that got to do? Does that something to do with your past?
Well, exactly. It could be, the nuns told me not to wear red shoes, and I'm dying to wear red shoes.
Okay.
So there's an old memory of the red shoes are boo-boo. Serious women don't wear red shoes, right?
Oh, yeah, okay. These are beliefs that are being held that you're not really aware of.
Exactly. There's a belief system that hurt you so much. But what I'm getting at, it's a projection. You see, it's your thought that gets concretized by looking at something else that attracts your attention.
All right, so this is a good spot to talk about projection. I've heard that word a lot. I don't think I've heard it very well explained. So can you talk about how do we project? And I'm thinking of the movie projector. If our eyes are the lens of the movie projector, are we sending something out of us, projecting it onto someone else, like the red shoe example? I see red shoes, and I see a judgment that women who wear red shoes are looking for attention, and they're full of themselves. So that's a judgment, right?
Right.
Am I projecting on the woman?
That's a very good example, because I was going to go to that. So when I look at the red shoe and I criticize it, I go into a part of me that I'm not aware I have and don't like. And I only see it when I project it outside on other people.
All right, so now we've got a memory. So I've got a memory in me. So if my mother was very judgmental of women she said she's full of herself, she's looking for attention, and she really hated women who looked for attention, and so she resented them. So now that memory is in me. So without me knowing that memory is in me, without me remembering consciously, the red shoes will call up the memory? Is that how it works?
Yeah, but what is part of the projection is when, let's say I have a light right in front of me. The light is flashing my desk. There's no shadow. There's no darkness.
Okay.
There's a lot of light. Follow me. This is a hard concept. If I move away the light a little bit, there is more shadow. There's more darkness. So the same thing with us. When we're not aware of what we project out, what we don't like in ourselves, we don't know ourselves, and we also create a shadow. We all have a dark side. You've heard of dark side.
Yes.
Dark side is nothing but that shadow that I was just telling you.
All right, so hold on a second. I want to remind you, you're listening to Relationship Revelation Radio. I'm Larry Bellotta, and I'm spending time interviewing Dr. Beltram, the amazing PhD psychoanalyst, anthropologist, book author, blogger, lecturer, and so many other things. And she is helping us explore why we don't like somebody. We might not even have any basis to not like them. We just don't like them. And we're starting to learn how is it that that could happen. And we're taking the example of you just meet somebody for the first time and don't like them. But there's all kinds of other related things like why don't you like relationships that are in your family, for example, which Dr. Beltram is going to get into next. Let's continue with this very point.
I would like to open, actually, so that your audience really gets it. I have a second book that I called You Are Who You Hate.
Oh, yes, I wanted to ask about that.
See what we're talking about. You are what you don't like in other people. So that's the dark side.
Why would I be who I don't like? Why would I become that? You are who you hate. How does that happen that I become what I don't like?
Because you're not aware of what you don't like, and you only see it in others.
You know, I want to ask you about this thing called awareness, because so few people are aware of why they do what they do.
A lot of awareness.
So much unawareness that people are not, they don't know why they get angry, they don't know why they drink, they don't know why they're addicted, they just don't know, because their awareness is not there. And I've discovered that it takes a lot of pain before people actually wake up and start to become aware. They can be aware just because they choose to.
And of course, therapy works, but also it's about being in touch with your feelings. A lot of people don't know, okay, I hate that person, but they don't go behind that word, behind hate. The other side of hate is love, for example.
So let's go back to your light on your desk. It's all light, but if something creates a shadow, that shadow is what we don't know.
That's right.
And we do not know the bad things that are in our past that came from mom, dad, and the families we come from.
Right.
There's some bad energies, bad vibes in there. And I'd like to find out about how do we get in touch with these energies, these things, these memories you call them, these bad memories that make us not like something and we don't even know why we don't like it. It's because there's a memory back there, isn't there? A very specific memory, isn't there?
Oh, everywhere, absolutely. I mean, that's called being self-aware. You rarely cannot do it by yourself. A good therapist can really help you, some self-help book like mine. But remember that you have to get to know your feelings, basically. There are 5 basic feelings: anger, joy, envy, jealousy, greed, guilt, and shame. There's 6, actually. You got to get to know them, and you feel them in your body.
I want you to say them again, because I think this is very important, that people start to become aware of the, what are you calling them, the 6?
Basic feelings that we have to be in touch with. Otherwise, we go around projecting stuff left and right.
Okay, give us the 6 feelings again.
So the first one is anger.
Okay, anger.
Joy.
So anger and joy, that's a huge contrast.
Shame and guilt.
Shame and guilt, they seem like they're related. Okay, shame and guilt. Jealousy.
Jealous by wanting what others want, all right?
Okay.
So those are basic feelings that you got to know them. And where do you feel your feelings? In your body.
In order to become aware, where can we start to get in touch with what we feel? Do we feel it in our gut? Is that where we start to feel?
I would ask my client, okay, you just told me you hate your brother. Where do you feel that in your body? Some people it's in the back, sometimes in the belly.
Yes. Hey, could that have something to do with where diseases show up?
Of course.
It does. Okay. All right. So this is a tip here. If you have a pain in your back, that pain could come from the hatred of a memory.
Right, that you're not in touch with.
So the first job is to get in touch with one of these emotions.
Anger, joy, jealousy, shame, and guilt.
Jealousy, shame, and guilt. That's a real trio right there. Jealousy, shame, and guilt. Very painful stuff. And they could happen in childhood at the hands of your mother, at the hands of your father, or at the hands of your grandmother.
Before you're born.
Before you're born, yes, absolutely. Because these energies are in the families, aren't they?
Absolutely.
And they go, it seems like they go right into the sperm and the egg, and they grow up into a human being, and they contain those energies. The person has those energies in them, and they didn't even put them there.
That's right.
You know, why should I feel shame for something I didn't put there? It's kind of a strange thing.
Then we go into the collective memories. We have personal memories that go as far as your family through the DNA, but then we have collective memories that travels from country to country.
Now, this is an odd idea. I was with you on the memories because of the memory of childhood, for instance. We have an energy memory, which is the dark energies of mom and dad's families. And
Right.
and now we're going to go to this the concept I've actually never heard before. Tell us about this country's energy.
Well, the same way we project onto somebody we see on the street, countries do the same thing. Look what happened to Hitler. Hitler was nothing but working from his projection. He was projecting onto the Jewish culture, religion, a part of himself he didn't like.
Okay.
That goes for Afghanistan, that goes for Iran, way back.
Saddam Hussein and Hitler had both of them had very violent fathers, very negative men raised those dictators. They had really dark energy in them, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
And was very strong in them in their families. And so all they needed to do was have a fairly strong personality, which Saddam Hussein and Hitler both had very strong personalities.
Right.
And then that energy controlled them in a huge way.
Control them, and they also knew that they didn't want that. So they went more toward mothers. Their mothers were gentle mothers, and also they were more in touch with their feminine side. So
That's not something we've ever heard about Hitler and Saddam Hussein.
Yeah. Well, he was a good painter, for example. Hitler was a good painter. So there was a gentleness in himself that he had to hide in order to be liked by his father, beloved by his father.
This idea of a vibration, feelings, emotions. Let's put all those together so we can manage them. Feelings, vibration, emotion. The first job that people listening to this need to have is to get to know those feelings.
To be in touch with their body, basically.
And
you have a bellyache. Why am I belly aching? What could that come from? Am I angry at somebody right now before you go for the pill? Did they just have a bad meeting? Is that why I have a headache?
So you go right to the source of, if it's in my body, that means the energy exists somewhere. The energy exists, it's coming from a memory. Is that how you do it?
It comes from a memory, and then you feel it in your body. Without your body, you don't feel anything.
Oh, okay, so the first thing is to let your body teach you where these painful memories, first of all, that they exist, and then you got to do a little detective work, and you've got to go find where they came
Right.
from. So can anybody do that without a therapist? Or do you need a therapist to go find the source of those memories?
That can be done because it's about stopping and sometimes breathing and taking a deep breath in the middle of a fight, let's say, and ask yourself, what am I feeling?
Oh, that's a very good, simple
my
question.
heart.
Yeah, that's a very simple question. What am I feeling?
Done through the breath, because the breath stops your thoughts.
Deep breath in, a deep breath out, and ask, what am I feeling?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
with
good.
the body.
What you're teaching us is that your body is your first alert system that you have a dark emotional energy in you somewhere.
Yes.
It's your first sign. Is there a possibility that you could have no sign from the body? That you're having emotion but no body connection?
Well, then it means you're cut off. Something happened. You're cut off, and that's a problem. If your body doesn't talk, you're dead.
Your body doesn't talk. All right, so get in touch with your body. It's telling you something, and the thing it's telling you is you have an emotion that could be very destructive to you.
You feel joy in your body.
Yes.
It can be positive and negative things.
I don't think most people connect their body's feelings to memories. They're not doing that at all. They're just like, I feel pain, I need to take something to make that pain go away, some external thing. They are not thinking that the body is telling me something about a memory I have from the past.
Not in the Western world, no.
Not in the Western world. I'm glad you said that. Not in the Western world, because Dr. Beltram, in the Western world, the body is looked at as a machine, a Swiss watch. Just a part needs to be taken out. A part needs to be put in. Right? The body is a physical thing that's just a bunch of parts.
The Western world was split. The mind and the body are two different entities in the Western world. Yeah. And then, of course, we know that in this world there's a mind-body connection.
Well, that's changing in the Western culture because of all these people people like you are actually making people aware that the body and the mind are one.
Yes, absolutely.
And that we're all connected. Before I go to this next topic, I just want to remind everyone this is Relationship Revelation Radio on webtalkradio.net. I'm Larry Bellotta, and I'm spending time with Dr. Beltram, the amazing psychoanalyst who is really holding back because of our lack of time, because she has so much to explain. And I want you to go get familiar with her at her website, which is very memorable. It's calltheshrink.com. You know, the shrink is the clever name for a psychoanalyst, you know, a therapist. Calltheshrink.com is her website, and you could be introduced to Dr. Beltram's world through calltheshrink.com. I want to go to our opening premise that why do we instantly hate someone, but we don't know why? And what I'm hearing you say is if you instantly hate someone, that someone has just taken a projected memory of yours without you knowing anything about it, and it's gone out of you, it's hit them and bounced back to you, and now this energy is alive in you of a memory in your past. Is that
right?
Did I say that right?
You said it very right. And you know what happens energetically again? Let's say you go and talk to that fat woman, right?
Okay.
You're talking, maybe you're fighting, but you sense in your body that something, that the wires are crossed, that you're not really connecting. And that's another sign for, something is going on here.
So something that's going on here. If I'm talking to let's take two approaches. I'm saying something mean to the fat woman because she's parked an illegal spot. So I start the relationship in a bad way.
Yeah.
Right? Or I could start the relationship in a good way. Can I help you get out of your car? So those are two very different starts.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Can I help you get out of your car? But she may not say, no, Sonny, I don't need any help.
Yes, she might reject me.
Action, you see? You don't have to talk. This is all done on an energetic level. You don't necessarily have to say anything to her. She picks up your projection. She picks up that you made fun of her.
Okay, now this is important. This is where we gotta say this again. You're saying that I arrive on the scene, I look at the woman in the car, and the energy is already transferring. That's
She already knows what you did, because we can read each other without talking.
All right, so that means that in every relationship we have, the vibrations are going out whether you want them to or not.
That's right.
Well, that's a pretty scary prospect, isn't it? We think we can hide our feelings. We cannot. You're saying the energy goes out. The transaction has already happened. We already have the foundation of our relationship already, don't we?
Absolutely. We are very intuitive humans. And look at the animal world. They act on intuition. They read each other.
Yes, and they don't talk, right?
They don't. And they read each other much better than us.
Yes. All right. So in the animal world where everything is intuitive, they can communicate through these vibrations. That's why if you have two cats, you introduce a third cat, the cats don't have a conversation about how they're going to have a relationship. They already know.
Right.
All right, so this is, and for humans, especially Western humans, who just don't believe this vibration thing, but you're saying a very simple thing that I don't think I could repeat this enough. We have a painful memory, a bunch of painful memories in our past. Regardless of where we're raised, we're somehow having painful memories. Those painful memories take us over and link us up to a person who suddenly appears in front of us. And even though we have no history with them, and we know nothing about them, the energy's already transferred out, and it's come back. And now it's going back and forth, and now we feel very bad. And the bad feeling we have is the feeling of the memory. And this memory could have taken place when we were 2 years old, 5 years old, 8 years old. And it could be sitting in us, generating this resentment, and taking us over, and we feel terrible at that very moment. I got to ask you, Dr. Beltram, what can somebody do at that moment when they're having this feeling that they just don't want? It's embarrassing. They don't think it's right. If they had free choice, they would want it to go away. What can they do at that moment to make that bad feeling that comes from that painful memory? What can they do to make it disappear?
Well, it depends. If you're at a board meeting, you just take a deep breath, blow your nose, and say, okay, what am I feeling? What's going on with me?
All right. So deep breath, and then ask, what am I feeling? And then
you have to stop that energetic impulse to attack or see something, a projective thing in them. You have to stop it.
Okay, so what you're saying is, if you were in a meeting and this energy began going back and forth, that means that memory from your painful past is alive and operating, If you deep breathe in and deep breathe out and say, what am I feeling? What is that going to suddenly do to that moving energy?
Well, you stop what you're doing. You stop projecting and getting angry and acting out.
So just that one little act will stop the flow of that energy then?
That's right.
Oh.
I have a nice exercise, actually, that I want to bring to your audience. I don't know if we want to do it now. It's fantastic.
Yeah, let's do it now because we're in the flow of this energy idea.
Right. So when I work with couples, so at the board meeting, now you know what to do, right?
Yes.
You stop and take a deep breath, which will bring you into your body sensations, and that eventually, when the more you listen to the body, the more the body will talk to you, and the more the body will tell you, well, you're feeling this and you're feeling that, and that feeling will have the memory. Oh, it's you feeling that way because of that. Okay, so that's one thing. So now let's go into couples, all right? They fight, they push and pull like an elastic band. The exercise is the following. It's not my technique, by the way. It's by Harville Hendrix, who is a famous couple therapist.
Okay. I'm ready for the technique.
Okay. A couple sit in front of each other. They sit down on a chair, not on an armchair, but straight chair in front of each other. No TV, no screaming children.
Okay, so no distractions.
They create a special space with the intention of working together for, let's say, a good 20 minutes. Focus here is for one person to say a short phrase of what he's angry about, and attach the action. I'll give you an example in a minute. Attach the action with the feeling. For example, when you looked at me weird before, I felt shame. You have an action and you have a feeling attached to it. And you stop right there because eventually the other person repeats it. Okay?
All right.
So I start out by saying, when you look at me that way, I felt shame.
And then I say...
The other person say, I heard you say that when I looked at you funny or that way, you felt shame. And then the first person does something else. When you didn't buy the paper for me, I felt neglected, I felt angry, I felt whatever. And there's no interruption. Nobody can interrupt. It's just about listening to each other and repeating word for word what the other one say. Because I see it in my office all the time. Love is about being understood. You see, so we don't create any projection here, no fantasies. The other person repeats exactly what she heard.
And how many times would that happen?
Say you can go 10 times.
So in other words, if the woman is talking and she said, when you looked at me the way you did, I felt shame. And then the husband says, when I looked at you that way, you felt shame. And then the wife says, when you didn't bring me the paper, when you promised me, I felt hurt. And he says, when you didn't bring me the paper, when I didn't bring you the paper, you felt hurt. Is that the way it goes?
That's the way it goes.
Okay.
And then you turn, and when you're done, you don't talk, you don't start a conversation. When one is done, the other one starts. When you did this, I felt this. And you go on and on and on, as long as you want. Keep it short, though. Keep the phrases short. Keep the segment short. And then after you're done, don't talk. Don't start talking. Yeah, but.
Okay, so in other words, the key rule here is there's no additional conversation required.
No additional conversation. And it's amazing how transformational this exercise is.
No, I want you to talk about why it's transformational. Why does that happen?
Because they feel heard.
That's all?
That's all. It's that simple.
Are we just not heard? Are we not really heard? Is that, as a people, are we not really heard? Is that our big problem?
But nobody listens anymore.
Nobody really is listening to us.
Listen, they misinterpret or they project. It's a mess. It's really an entanglement of wires that are crazy.
What's the history of this Harville Hendrix technique, Dr. Beltram? Tell us how. Give us an expanded view.
It's about stopping projection.
So this projection that we were talking about, where a childhood memory literally comes, grabs us, uses us, goes back and forth, fills us with this ugly feeling, and we can't control it. We're out of control of it. That's projection. And it happens all the time because we don't know how to take the deep breath in, out, and ask, what am I feeling? We don't know how to stop it. We don't know how to use that simple technique to stop it. And if we did, maybe we would stop it. And so that projection happens. And with couples who are in an intimate relationship, you're saying, why don't you do this Harville Hendricks technique? Why don't you just, the wife starts and she says, when you did this, I felt that. And he repeats, when I did this, you felt that. And she does it again and again and again until she runs out of things. And then it's his turn. He says, you did this, I felt that. And she repeats it. And it goes back and back. So let's say it goes on 20 minutes after the two of them fully get out all this, when you did this, I felt that. There is, what I'm going to say, great relief between the couple.
Oh, there is love.
There's love.
There's really love.
There's love between the couple. And tears, lots of tears.
Larry, for a moment, stay quiet and think how it would feel.
I'm already feeling it. I am already feeling it, yes. You know, what it drives home the point is I really want to be heard as a human being.
Yes.
And this exercise really drives home the point that I really do need to be heard, and boy, I really am not.
Because that's love. You feel loved.
Yes, you feel love. And,
because
that means that once the love arrives, there's no conversation to be had about what happened and who did what to who.
That's right.
Okay. Now, you do this in your office with people?
Oh, yeah.
All kinds of people. All kinds of people, right?
All kind of people. Well, some people do better than others.
That's
You always have the client that says, but.
So what, you give them the rule, there is no buts, there is no conversation. You complete this assignment. When you did this, I felt that. When you did this, I felt that. And the spouse repeats. You've seen this happen where they just kind of melt, and then the love happens. And when the love happens, there's no more room for arguments.
What about being right and being wrong, you see? We all want to be right.
But if you're heard, if you're really heard, do you need to be right?
You see, being right is a function of your ego.
What is an ego? What's an ego?
The ego is that part of us that we need in order to live in this world, but it's also very stubborn, and it transforms things, and it distorts things, and you want to be right, and at times you need that energy of the ego. But basically, what you need is the energy of your heart.
You need love energy. You need love energy.
Your heart are never wrong.
Ego energy probably might protect you from a lion or a bear, but it's not good for much else.
Not really. The intuition is what's going to save you from a lion.
Okay.
It doesn't look good. I better go away. That's an intuition. Intuition has an intelligence. Is that where you're going?
Yes.
Yeah, well,
and ego has a sinister kind of intelligence.
It's tougher.
More selfish?
Selfish, yes.
Ego is noisy, selfish, self-centered.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like it's real useful.
Well, we do need it.
Intuition is vastly more valuable than ego.
Yeah.
Ego is not anywhere near as valuable as intuition in living life.
In my perspective, no.
Okay.
But people will say yes. Let's say that we need, I would say, 1/4 of ego and 3/4 of intuition.
Oh, you give ego an entire quarter, huh?
Yeah.
Even in spite of all its selfishness and obsessions?
Yes.
You're very kind to ego.
No, we do need it. Let's not poo-poo the ego too much. The little child, when we say, "Oh, be proud of yourself. Look what you did," we need that in the beginning of our life.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I ask you the question, what is the source of emotion? What do you say the origin of emotion is?
It's a way to survive.
So the origin of emotion. I'm reading a lot about quantum physics, about consciousness. They're struggling to answer what is consciousness. Why do you know you exist? Because you are, I think, therefore I am, right?
Yes.
What is the origin of emotion? Is it your consciousness is you? You is an invisible being. I'm thinking of Dr. Raymond Moody's book, Life After Life, where he tells these people who died clinically dead, verified to be clinically dead, and they came back from the dead. And then they're